A single dad rushing to the most important interview of his life suddenly stops to help a stranger with a flat tire. By the time he's done, his chance of the job is gone, or so he thinks. What he doesn't know is that the woman he helped is a millionaire CEO, and what happens next will leave you speechless. Sometimes the biggest opportunity comes disguised as a setback. Marcus Johnson, a hard-working single father, woke up that morning with his heart pounding, a mix of nerves and excitement rushing through his veins. Today wasn't just another ordinary day. It was the day that could change everything. For months, he had been tirelessly sending out applications, attending smaller interviews, and facing rejection after rejection. But this time was different. He finally had a chance at a prestigious company, the kind of place that could give him stability, dignity, and most importantly, a brighter future for his little daughter, Lily. This job wasn't just about money. It was about hope. He stood in front of the cracked mirror in his small apartment, carefully adjusting his tie. The suit he wore wasn't new. It was the same one he had worn to every important event for years. But he pressed it neatly the night before, making sure it looked as presentable as possible. He couldn't afford to buy another, but what he lacked in material things, he made up for with determination. He then walked into Lily's room, watching her sleep peacefully. Her little curls were spread across the pillow, and she clutched her favorite stuffed bunny. Marcus bent down, kissed her softly on the forehead, and whispered, "Daddy's going to make us proud today." For a moment, he allowed himself to imagine her smile when he came back home with good news. With his resume in hand and dreams in his heart, Marcus rushed out the door, determined not to waste a single second. The morning air was cool, and the city streets buzzed with life. He replayed potential interview answers in his mind as he hurried along, convincing himself that this was his shot, his moment. But fate, as it often does, had other plans. On his way, his eyes caught sight of an older woman struggling on the side of the road. She stood beside a car with a flat tire, waving desperately for help. Dozens of cars zoomed past, drivers glancing at her before quickly turning away, unwilling to stop. Marcus slowed down, his mind battling between his urgent destination and the human need right in front of him. His chest tightened. If he stopped, he would risk being late. If he didn't, he would abandon someone who clearly needed help. After a deep breath, he made his decision. He pulled over, walked up, and asked gently, "Ma'am, do you need help?" Her face lit up with relief as she nodded quickly. "Yes, I don't know what to do," she admitted, her hands trembling slightly. Marcus didn't hesitate. He rolled up his sleeves, crouched down, and got to work. The minutes slipped away faster than he wanted. Sweat mixed with grease as he loosened bolts and replaced the tire. His clean shirt became stained, his hands dirty, but he kept going until the car was safe to drive again. He knew what each second cost him, but his heart wouldn't let him walk away. Finally, he stood up, wiping his forehead. The woman thanked him repeatedly, her gratitude overflowing, but Marcus just forced a weary smile. "Just be safe, ma'am," he replied softly, though inside, he felt a heavy weight. As he looked at the time, his stomach dropped. The interview had already started. His one big chance was gone. Shoulders slumped, he turned away from the road and began walking home. Each step felt heavier than the last, his mind echoing with doubt and disappointment. He wanted to believe he did the right thing, but he couldn't help feeling like his dream had slipped right through his fingers that day. Marcus had been raising Lily alone ever since his wife, Angela, passed away 3 years ago. Her sudden illness had shaken his world, leaving him not only heartbroken, but also carrying the weight of responsibilities he had never imagined handling alone. Overnight, he became both mother and father, protector and provider. Life was far from easy, but for Marcus, there was no choice. Lily was his world, and he was determined to give her the love and stability she deserved. Every day was a test of strength. He picked up whatever small jobs he could find, fixing things around the neighborhood, delivering groceries, or even working late shifts at a warehouse. The pay was never enough, but he made it stretch as best as he could. Many nights, Marcus would sit at the kitchen table with bills spread out before him, his head in his hands, wondering how to cover rent and utilities with so little. Often, the answer was simple: he went without. He would skip meals, telling Lily he wasn't hungry, just to make sure she had enough on her plate. Watching her eat happily made the hunger in his stomach feel worth it. Despite his struggles, Marcus never allowed himself to complain in front of Lily. To her, he was strong, dependable, and unshakable. He helped her with homework every evening, patiently explaining math problems even when he was too tired to think. He cooked simple meals with whatever they had, turning them into special dinners just to make her smile. At night, he tucked her into bed, reading her stories until her little eyes closed. For Lily, he wasn't just her dad, he was her hero. That evening, after missing his big interview to help the woman on the roadside, Marcus sat quietly on the worn-out couch in their tiny living room. Lily was playing with her stuffed bunny on the floor, humming softly. Marcus forced a smile whenever she looked his way, but inside, he was crushed. He thought about the job that could have been, the stability, the security, the future he longed to give his daughter. Now, it felt like it had slipped away forever. Maybe it wasn't meant to be, he whispered to himself, though the words tasted bitter. His chest ached with worry. How much longer could he keep things together without a steady job? Rent was due soon, bills were piling up, and Lily deserved more than constant struggle. Still, he remembered Angela's words, spoken to him many times before she passed. Do the right thing, even when it costs you. That memory gave him strength. He had done the right thing by helping a stranger in need. And though it hurt now, he clung to the belief that somehow, someday, it would matter. And so, Marcus held on, silently praying that life had something better in store for him and his little girl. 2 days later, Marcus was sitting at the small kitchen table, sipping a cup of lukewarm coffee while staring at the pile of unpaid bills in front of him. The weight of disappointment from missing the interview still pressed heavily on his chest. He tried to stay strong for Lily, but in the quiet moments when she was at school, the silence of the apartment reminded him of everything he had lost and everything he feared he couldn't provide. Just as he began to wonder what else he could do to make ends meet, his phone buzzed on the table. "Hello, is this Marcus Johnson?" a professional voice asked. Marcus straightened in his chair, his heart skipping. "Yes, this is he," he replied cautiously, unsure who might be calling. "This is from Anderson Enterprises. Our CEO would like to meet with you." Marcus nearly dropped the phone. His breath caught in his throat. Anderson Enterprises? That was the very company where he had missed his interview. For a moment, he thought it must be a mistake. Why would they be calling him now? I'm sorry, could you repeat that?" he asked, his voice trembling. The caller calmly repeated, "Our CEO would like to meet with you. Please come to our headquarters tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. When the call ended, Marcus just sat there in stunned silence, the phone still pressed against his ear. His heart pounded so loudly he could hear it in his chest. A swirl of emotions ran through him. Confusion, hope, and disbelief all at once. Did they somehow hear about why he missed the interview? Or was this simply a second chance by pure luck? Whatever the reason, Marcus knew this was an opportunity he could not afford to waste. That evening, he rushed to prepare. He didn't own much, but he wanted to look his best. He went next door to his kind neighbor, Mr. Harris, and borrowed a clean tie that matched his suit. He polished his old, worn-out shoes until they gleamed as much as they could, even though the leather was cracked. He carefully ironed his shirt, making sure every wrinkle was gone. Before bed, Marcus knelt down beside Lily as she prayed. Quietly, he closed his eyes and prayed too, not just for the job, but for the strength to do his best. That night, he whispered to himself, "This is my second chance. I can't let it slip away." The next morning, Marcus stood in front of the towering glass building, his heart racing. The sunlight bounced off the shiny windows, making the place look even more intimidating. He clutched his resume tightly in his hand, though he wasn't sure it would even matter anymore. With a deep breath, he whispered to himself, "This is it, Marcus. Don't be afraid." Inside, everything felt like another world. Marble floors, polished desks, employees rushing with confidence and purpose. Marcus, in his worn suit, felt small and out of place, but he straightened his back and tried to look determined. A receptionist greeted him kindly and soon escorted him to the top floor. The doors to the CEO's office opened, revealing a spacious room with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Marcus stepped inside, his palms sweating. He expected to meet a stranger, but the sight that greeted him left him frozen in disbelief. Behind the sleek wooden desk sat a woman in a sharp business suit. Her posture was elegant, her presence commanding, but her face was familiar. Marcus's eyes widened. It was her, the same woman from the roadside. She looked up, recognition flashing in her eyes, and smiled warmly. "Mr. Johnson, I owe you a huge thank you." Marcus blinked, his jaw tightening with shock. You the CEO?" he asked, his voice barely steady. She nodded with calm confidence. "Yes, my name is Victoria Anderson. 2 days ago, I was the woman stranded on the side of the road with a flat tire. You stopped, helped me, and sacrificed something very important in the process. At the time, you had no idea who I was, yet you still chose kindness over convenience. That told me more about your character than any resume ever could." Marcus stood speechless, his heart pounding. All the weight of his struggles, the missed opportunity, the fear of failing Lily. Suddenly, it felt like the world had shifted. Victoria leaned forward, her tone firm yet compassionate. "We need people in this company who don't just work for money, but who live with integrity. People who do the right thing, even when no one is watching. Marcus, I'd like to offer you a position here. Not because of your qualifications, but because of who you are." Tears welled in Marcus's eyes. His lips trembled as he whispered, Are you serious?" Victoria's smile widened. "Dead serious. Welcome to Anderson Enterprises, Mr. Johnson." At that moment, Marcus felt his entire world change. What he thought was his biggest failure had just become the greatest blessing of his life. That evening, as the final school bell rang, Marcus stood outside the gates waiting for Lily. For the first time in years, his smile wasn't weighed down by worry or exhaustion. It was genuine, wide, and bright. When Lily came running out, her backpack bouncing, he bent down, scooped her in his arms, and whispered the words he had been dreaming of saying. "Daddy got the job." Her little eyes sparkled like stars. "Really, Daddy? We're going to be okay now." Marcus hugged her even tighter, his voice thick with emotion. "Yes, baby girl. We're going to be more than okay. Things are about to change for us." They walked home hand in hand, and though their apartment was still small and humble, it felt different that night. Marcus cooked Lily her favorite meal, mac and cheese with hot dogs, and for the first time in months, the air in their home was filled with laughter instead of worry. Lily danced around the kitchen, singing silly songs, while Marcus just watched her, silently thanking God for this miracle. From that day forward, life began to shift. With a stable income from Anderson Enterprises, Marcus could finally catch up on rent and keep food in the fridge without having to sacrifice his own meals. He bought Lily new clothes for school, replaced her worn-out shoes, and even surprised her with a second-hand bicycle. But more than the material changes, what truly mattered was the lightness in his heart. The heavy burden he had carried for so long began to lift. At work, Marcus quickly became more than just another employee. His story spread across the company like wildfire. People were inspired by him, not just because he had been hired by the CEO herself, but because of why he was chosen. He wasn't just a man with a resume. He was a man of integrity, a man who proved that character outweighs credentials. Colleagues respected him deeply, and many admitted that his example made them want to live with more kindness and humility. Victoria herself often repeated his story in board meetings. "In a world full of talent," she told her executives, "I chose Marcus because character is priceless. Skills can be taught, but heart cannot." Those words became a reminder within the company that success is not only about results, but about the values behind them. And so, the opportunity Marcus thought he had lost forever turned out to be the greatest gift of his life. What began as a missed interview ended as a lesson to the world, that even the smallest act of kindness has the power to change destinies. If you found this story inspiring, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss another powerful video. Thanks for watching.